Our second type of informal assessment is portfolio assessment. And if you're in Education 270 with me right now, you are working on your professional portfolio. And each week your discussion thread answers a question that's part of our curriculum. And by answering that, you are explaining that you're understanding what we're teaching. If you took Education 110, you had to create a portfolio and you had to collect artifacts to show your understanding of content, where you were selecting projects and articles online and tasks and projects that you did within a classroom to show your learning. We use portfolios with young children as well. And actually, if you are going to be teaching in a preschool, a pre-K, a kindergarten, almost all of their assessment is collected into a portfolio for sure. Because what we notice about those youngest learners is how they start the school year developmentally and how they end the school year are so significantly different that portfolio collection of work samples is just, it's just natural. You know, by seeing what their handwriting looks like in the beginning of the year, and then another month later, and another month later, and looking at what letters they knew in the fall, what letters they know in the winter, what letters they know in the spring, to see how they draw pictures throughout the school year. We can document so much of their growth just by collecting our work samples and putting them together. Traditional portfolio assessment is a collection of documents or work samples that shows a student's development. And for this class, we're focusing on their literacy development throughout the school year. You can have a hard copy of a portfolio, or many times teachers, to save space, are using digital formats, and they're creating online portfolios for each student. They're a collaboration of what the teacher wants and what the student wants. And so the selection process revolves around conferencing and discussing, what do you think should be in this portfolio? What do you think you like? What do you want to be in to showcase you? Sometimes teachers will have a list of required items, but then they'll have student choice for a large part of it. And it's important that students are given this freedom to choose things that represent them and things they're proud of. Part of portfolio assessment is the self-reflection that goes along with it. Students talking about and showcasing their work and showing and telling what they've learned is really important to the development of their skills, because that is that metacognition where they're understanding how much they're learning. And also many times with portfolio assessment, we allow students to do parent-teacher conferences, and they'll actually come in with their portfolio and run the conference because they feel so secure about understanding how they've been assessed and graded that they can discuss that and share it and be proud of it with their families. So it's one of those things that it gives children ownership in self-assessment and self-reflection of their learning. Some things that go in a portfolio would be an introduction, which is why they have created this and why it's important to them. Summaries of the pieces that they collected, and also self-reflection of each piece. It doesn't have to be long, and it could be audio, could be video, it could be a little written statement. The other thing we want to focus on is having varied pieces of work. We do want to have some assessments, maybe some running records or retellings or projects, writing samples. You want to have lots of different pieces in there to show growth. And then incorporating media. Do we have podcasts? Do we have photos? Do we have audio recordings and videos and actual work samples? Getting that variety is important. So I've also listed some reading components and some writing components, depending on what all you're required by your school to have in a portfolio or what you as the teacher want to have. We want to make sure that we're getting a variety of the different components. And when you think about literacy, depending on the grade level, you want to make sure that each of the areas of literacy is represented. So if they're young learners, we want to see their phonics and phonemic awareness, their fluency, their comprehension, vocabulary. If they're older learners, you might not have phonics and phonemic awareness, but you'll have all those other components, and at some point writing gets integrated in there as well. If you click on the See It in Action, you will see how a digital portfolio comes together, and it's pretty interesting to see how they've showcased that as well. So take a minute and go to the See It in Action and reflect on how you were graded. If you were given report cards or test scores, did you feel a connection to them? Did you always agree with them? I know my daughters just got report cards about a week ago. It's a bunch of letters and numbers. It doesn't tell me anything really about their learning. I'm looking forward to the parent-teacher conference where we get that face-to-face and we get to see the work samples. Portfolio assessment really is different because it takes that ownership and gives it to the child and gives them some control in their learning and their grading. So it's a neat way to showcase it. So to make some connections, would you like to have created a portfolio as a child, or did you like getting those kind of detached letter grades?